if ever the government cannot support us in one way or another, but there are other organizations, there are embassies who are still willing to support young people to make things happen. So we can still tap into them and try to get through and try to make a change through them. And we have, I think the three of us are here right now, and we are very grateful that we have an organization like the IUC who believes in young people and who can be very helpful in making us implement some of our project plans and with regards to climate change. Yeah.
All right, I know we have at least one question, and are there others? All right, so we have two questions lined up. So.
Okay, thanks. So my name is Lawrence. You see? There we go. My name is Lawrence. I'm from the Commonwealth Secretariat, and very quick question. As an intergovernmental organization, we're keen to see, we're happy to see mostly young people coming together, getting more organized, and of course under the official constituency, and also looking at ways in which to engage governments. My question is, Yongo as a whole, you can come all the way here, and hundreds of other young people would have loved this opportunity. So coming here and complaining or rather saying governments can't engage us, it's a tokenistic way of trying to engage us, blah blah. That is good, but then you are here and you're representative of a huge constituency that would have loved to be here, but they can't be here. What's the strategy that Yongo has as a whole to actually influence parties? You have quite a number of young people, especially in the global south, who are coming here with party badges. I just want to see if there's a strategy to actually influence parties. You can come and say that you'll use civil society, but honestly speaking, if you have people with party badges, you might as well start thinking the lines of ally governments, as was being mentioned before, or some groups, whether it's G77 or the African Group of Negotiators or the AOC's groups that can actually align to some of the priorities you have. So I just wanted to know if there is a strategy and if there is a possibility to actually formulate one, just to take advantage of the fact that quite a number of young people do have party badges. Thank you. And I've been to many COPs, so this always happens. We come all this way, we always complain about how difficult it is to influence parties, and we'll stick and make noise, but then at the end of the day, none of our positions are actually taken forward. So we're here and it's the beginning. It's high time at least we have a strategy for the next 2 weeks. Thank you.
We do now, by the way, this one's even louder, have a handheld microphone.
So in Yongo, we have the policy working group, as I think you are aware of. It's very hard to coordinate policy within Yongo. I think Tim could talk about this better. But like he said, there has been some achievements like intergenerational equity, human rights, climate justice. All of this were struggles and were lobby points that we as Yongo supported. But it's very hard to coordinate only here if we don't coordinate throughout the year, because what happens is texts come here already almost ready. So if you're not in Bonn, or if you miss the submissions deadlines, there isn't much you can do only by being here. So I think what Yongo needs right now is policy coordination throughout the year, and I've talked to Tim about this. If we are coordinated throughout the whole year, then we can come here stronger. But if we come here disorganized and we don't have our lobby points clear, and we have missed the submission dates, and we haven't been in Bonn, then that makes the job more difficult. So if that's the case, why are we here, right? I think we're here to, for me, one of the most valuable things of all of us being here is actually getting to know each other, because building these bridges, knowing about each other's stories, knowing about our backgrounds, our struggles, that makes us stronger. And I know we lack a little bit of coordination as Yongo, but just by being here and by knowing each other, that's already very, very valuable. So I think that when young people gather here at COPs, it's not only to lobby and to advocate and to build policy papers, but also to build a movement. So I'm not saying that lobbying isn't supposed to happen. I think it has to happen always, and we have to have a better coordination in policy and acts throughout the year. But what I'm trying to say is that we're not only policy. We are actions, we are communications, we are the several working groups that we have going on. So, and we are also this community. So I think that yes, there's a lot of work to do with policy still, but we have already moved like a lot. Like Yongo is a young constituency, and I think we've done a lot as a constituency. I mean, imagine our opposition. These governments, they are like, they don't really care, and still we got lots of things like included in the agreement, as Tim said. So I think yeah, we have still a long way to go, but we have already achieved a lot. I think.
I just want to respond to you. I mean, I'll speak on behalf of my organization again, SIA. I agree with you that the work is not to be done only like few weeks before the conference. It has to be done before and after. So I want to share with you what we've been doing at SIA. SIA is very new. I mean, we started in 2014. But since last year, we have been very much into climate change. We organized a regional climate march among the island states in the Indian Ocean last year, in line with the COP21. And after that, this year, we organized post-COP21 events where we mobilized, yes, I'll say it, don't worry. Where we mobilized young people in the small island developing states in the Indian Ocean, where we had a youth-friendly document on the agreement that happened, on the Paris Agreement last year, and we disseminated that with the young people. And so as they are aware what has happened, and so as they know what has been said and what can they do as little but concrete projects within their island. And also this year, together with the CYCN, it was the CYCN initiative which SIA supported. We organized an advocacy training for young people, where Tim was one of the trainers there. Where we give training to young people from the Commonwealth and states on climate change advocacy, so as they can become better advocates, and they are much more prepared for conferences like the COP. And we have Anjul here in the audience, who was one of the delegates there, and after the training, she's come here as a participant, which shows that there has been a process to equip that young people, and these things needs to happen, and it needs to keep on going. And yes, I won't forget about the toolkit. Maybe we can show the toolkit. So SIA did a toolkit, a youth toolkit for states on climate change. We can pass it around, where it's in a very youth-friendly language for young people to know more about climate change and negotiations, and yeah. So yeah, you want to respond to that? Okay.
I just wanted to add to what Meghna has said about the training that we did. So the training was really, really successful, and this is the first time that I've seen such a big delegation of young people from the Indian Ocean present here, and this is a big win for ourselves. And we, just having a delegation and preparing ahead of COP22, who's doing what are we doing in terms of bilaterals and all of that is a big success. And a link to the training that Meghna talked about, which is how to track climate change negotiations, how to communicate climate change, and how to do effective campaigning. The training was a huge success. We'll be doing this every year, and it's focused for young people from climate vulnerable countries. But next year we want to do it bigger and better and get more young people to benefit from the training before they go to COP meetings. So we are actually launching the program called Prep for COP on this Friday at 3 p.m. So I hope to see most of you there. We'll be sharing this around Anyungo as well, the details of the launch. There will be a panel talking about intergenerational equity, but I'm sure the program will really be exciting for a lot of you, and we hope the toolkit and sports around will also be very beneficial, because we want to do a bigger version of this in collaboration with SIA, where we have chapters on blue economy, climate finance, and because these are terms that young people just hear and they don't know much about, but we need to give it in a very youth-friendly language for them to understand. So there's that, and also sorry for advertising because I talked about fossil fuel subsidies. There is a side event happening right after this at the EU by CAN International on the 1.5 degrees Celsius mobilization and action. So if you're interested, please come there. I will also have to leave early because of that. So yeah, that's it.
So since everyone's talking about side events, we have a side event this afternoon, actually evening at 7 p.m. right Tim? We have a side event in the Green Zone on youth and building ambition for loss and damage. So you're all invited. And I think it's going to be really, really cool to talk about loss and damage in the context that climate change is already happening. So this is a very urgent topic to talk about, and especially you all from small islands are very invited. And yeah, that's it.
Yeah, I just wanted to add some of the maybe one of the Yongo activities that we're doing to promote about the question you had before. It was the local codes are happening more and more. It's an initiative that happened last year, and I think I was actually very surprised how there's so many young people interested in organizing local codes in their own countries. And I think this is something that it shows an example of what young people can do. We don't have like local COPs. We have to travel every year to a certain country to a climate change conference. And although the Conference of Youth don't have negotiations, they do spread what's happening there. They do transmit information. So I think it's very important that it's an example, because it's a way to be more carbon neutral in a way, or to lower the carbon emissions that we do. So I think that's a very good example of what we're doing in Yongo to facilitate these COIs. And although it's not, we're still far to create something that is even more, that is better, or that is more, I guess that it will have even more impact on other people. Just the initiatives already are already something, and I think this is something we're going to be seeing more in the future. And who knows, maybe one day, instead of having to travel to a country, we can just be at home and trying to participate in our homes. So.
Since he's talking about COI, I want to say that the training that we had in September with the CYCN, it has been very successful, because these young people, one of them started writing articles on climate change, and it has been published. His name is Chetan, you can look for him. And also the participants who took part in the training, some of them were the one who organized the local COI in Mauritius, and they did a very, very amazing job. And it was not only about the policy paper. I mean, they tried really to influence young people and try to change their mindset. They had like, how can you do your own little garden with plastic bottles? How can you do your own dustbin with using plastic bottles? So they came up with a lot of innovative ideas to try to pass on the message to other young people. We had around 100 young people who came for the local COI in Mauritius. Yeah.
So just quickly to add on to Lawrence's question, it really is a matter of getting Yongo to be able to better organize through the year, as Bia said, and then all these other initiatives. But we do actually have concrete lobbying strategies. It entails a spreadsheet, and we keep collectively track of who's talked to which delegates, so that we don't approach someone again and say, oh, would you sign our declaration on youth delegates? It's like, wow, you young people, I already signed that. Well, okay, we avoided that by having a spreadsheet to keep track. We develop our lobbying points. We leverage our pink badge young people to be part of lobbying teams and to get access to rooms which are closed off, unfortunately. So it's absolutely an area where as we said, we're going to be building it and getting better at maintaining it throughout the year. But hey, we did have a submission on ACE for Bonn. Youngo doesn't very often make submissions, but we did, and it was very concrete and really helped us in all of our lobbying that we were doing. And there's lots of negotiators who will give us feedback on things. So we can, for example, we were able to send them some of the youth delegate proposals to one of the parties, and they said, oh, well, we wouldn't be able to accept this text, but if you change it to this, or so forth. And it doesn't always work. There was a party that I won't name, but you probably could guess who they are. It wouldn't be a very long list of suspects. There was a party that in Lima blocked intergenerational equity from getting into the draft text. So it then wasn't until the following session in Geneva that we did get it in, after we managed to sit down and talk it through with them. So it doesn't always work, but you keep at it, and in the end, it was successful. So I've been, if we have a question. Yes. So, and also, just last night, so COP hadn't even started yet, and young people sent out invitations to ACE national focal points, inviting them to meet with Youngo during the time, and already one of those meetings happened last night. And you'll see on the agenda that there's an ACE national focal points meeting later on today at 5 o'clock here. So, we're definitely doing our due diligence. Thank you for reminding me of that. And now, I'm very sorry, I hope you still remember your question.
Well, it's very difficult even for CSOs to advocate for the participation of youth. So I don't think it's only difficult for you. When we're meeting parties, it's very difficult. I don't know if this is on. It is? Okay. My question was, I think you do work on it, but it's not been mentioned enough, is on youth unemployment and climate change issues. So you've spoken about blue economy and green economy. Can you just mention a few sweet spots of entry in this sector, especially with the massive bulge of moving away from rural areas to urban areas? So we set up, one of our jobs we do is give massive funding for youth employment in the climate sector, but nobody wants to work in traditional agricultural or fishery sector. So the green and blue is not the way it's envisaged. So something that's in the process chain that the youth would like to be involved in, so that they can come on board and take up these jobs.
So I'll try to answer that, specifically relating to blue economy. I think it's a very interesting point, and we did think about this, because when we talk about the blue economy, we're surrounded by so much ocean, and it's a lot of resources. But how do we tap into that? We don't have the right capacity or the amount of human resources to tap into that, and. One way that we thought to tackle this would to come up with an internship program, which I talked about earlier. Now, this is only a pilot between Mauritius and Seychelles, but it would enable 15 young people to go to the 2 different islands, spend a few months there actually, and visit different organizations working in the marine sector, but also go visit the governments who work in, for example, fisheries. And through this internship, the aim is for them to get more involved and interested in the different areas of the blue economy, but also see that there is a lot of potential and there is a lot of opportunity. Now, that's one way of looking at it. The other way of looking at it, which is a bit more informal, is actually getting young people to connect with nature. And this sounds very... I don't know how this sounds. It's like, okay, it's very vague, but the way we do it back in Mauritius and Seychelles through my organization is just giving young people swimming lessons, teaching them, giving them scuba diving initiations so that they can actually go in the ocean and see the rich biodiversity underneath, but also see the extent of pollution. Now, these little things get them really connected to the sea, and through this, they do want to do something about it. Maybe my colleague Meghna could talk more about it, because this is what our organization works on. We have a project called Seeing Blue, where we are giving young people the chance to come up with project ideas on tackling marine debris, for example. And now these ideas, we take them, we provide seed funding, we give them the right network, mentorship, training to implement these. Now, these are little initiatives that I think are getting young people more interested in let's say, the blue economy and starting their own enterprises when it comes in this sector. I hope this answers your question. It's difficult for me to do a blue economy, agriculture, but I thought ocean would be something more familiar to me. Thanks.
Talking about a blue economy, I think that experience in Asia and also in Taiwan can replenish some ideas about how we achieve the blue economy things. First of all, I think the most important part is that the recognition of the blue economy, because most of the time they're talking about the climate change, they still neglect the importance of the ocean due to the climate change. And for most of the Asia countries, especially in the East Asia, we have big fishery industry, and the fishery industry is a devastation to the ocean, especially in the high sea. And now, for example, like in WTO, they have the subsidy. They are talking about the divestment of the fishery and persuade the government, also the industry delegates, to divest the subsidies from the fishery and fishing boats. And that's the things that I think we as a youth can resonate. That's a very important part and a big step toward the blue economy thing. And the other thing is that to persuade more and more young people to know that about how important is the ocean and how can we preserve. Sometimes in Taiwan we have the financing some small foundations that we will buy and preserve some wetlands in Taiwan, and to make sure that these wetlands will be protected well, and to improve the sightseeing things in a sustainable way to let more and more people know about this wetlands importance. Yeah.
Other questions? I will just throw in, I mentioned in the opening for the pavilion that the original aim was to have a youth pavilion alongside all the country pavilions. And where we ended up, because that wasn't feasible, was reaching out to parties, and the Nordic Council of Ministers graciously provided us one day of their pavilion. But by being here, you are all supporting that there is a good reason for young people to have their own pavilion. So just by being here, you're contributing to Youngo's lobbying efforts to improve youth inclusion. So are there more questions from the audience? Yes.
Thank you. I'm curious, this could also be to you, Tim, maybe, or to the panel, but what do you see in the future for Youngo? Do you see more coordination, or should we embrace our diverseness?
Can I do both? Can I say that Youngo can get stronger while still respecting and embracing its diversity? See, as much as I'm cynical from 5 years of things, I still have at least a slightly greater amount of idealism. 50% cynicism, 51%, an extra percent in there for idealism. And before I yield to, because I know my colleagues probably want to answer this as well, I mean, it's my personal aspiration that Youngo will be able to do what countries so often struggle to do in the negotiations. And if we can't do that, I don't know, our species is in serious trouble. So I do have faith that, from the relationships that I built, the most important, valuable thing that keeps me coming back here isn't, did we get this text or not? It's the relationships, and we've all sort of touched on that. And even a couple steps forward, a couple steps backwards, I mean, we do make progress, and I think we are in a place that Youngo is able to be moving forward, and I'm really excited by some of the initiatives like restructuring that we've talked about, and I'm sure there's more to add.
Yeah, since last year in Paris, Youngo has been working on trying, I don't know how to describe this, but we're trying to make the youth climate movement more alive. So we realized that yes, there are differences, and sometimes we want to, punch each other in the face because of these differences. But what we've also realized is that we as young people have this drive, have this strength to do things that nobody else has, and that can unite us, because like young people are just like this. Oh, there's something that needs to be done. Let's just do it. Countries are like, yeah, there's something that needs to be done. Let's negotiate to start doing that in 20 years. And young people are not like that. We just go there and do it. And we have stories to share. We have experiences to share. We have done so much. Like, look at these guys. Oh my God! Like when you start talking about all the things that you've done, it just like makes me feel more alive. So yes, we do have differences, and these are huge differences, but we have more things in common than we have differences, and it's nice to hear about other people's differences, because then we I don't know, I think what lacks in me and someone else has, that completes us. So you see, I'm like this very negative person when it comes to negotiations. So someone like Tim has to be there and be like on the policy working group and lobbying with government, something that I would never do. But then on the other hand, someone has to go to these governments and say, hey, you are full of bullshit, you know? And so I mean, I don't have to always agree with Tim, but we can work together. So.
Thank you. I think I really love what you said, and I want to continue a little bit more further with that, and I'm going to hashtag this is Youth United, because I think we have to work on the togetherness of looking at the things that make us come together, look at the things that bring us together. So we have to always look at the intention, the purpose of why we're here. We always have to look at the bigger picture of why we're here. We're here because we want probably to have a healthy planet in the future, so we can all live together in a way that is harmonious, not only with the human family, but also with the whole community of life. And I think to achieve that, and not only for Yungo, but for all of us and human beings, is to tap into what is sustainable, like this inner sustainability that we have to connect with. And I think any civilization that we know, the bedrock of any civilization or any group or any organization are the core values that they have. If there's no values, there's not really a glue to hold everything together. And as we know, if you think, for example, about anger, if you think about resentment, frustration, about anything that is negative, it just creates separation. It creates some kind of waste in others. And I think if we go back into, the fundamental human values such as hope, determination, love, peace, happiness, those inner values, if we can not only reflect on them, but put them into action, which is what we need right now in this COP, is to put things into action, but in a very deep, in a very conscious way of transmuting these values. You can create the togetherness, the unity that we need, not only, again, with Yungo, but for the rest of the human family.
I'm sorry guys, I have to leave, but yeah, so you heard about all the work we're doing, and I hope we can make all of this happen together. And I think if like umbrella groups, SIDS, and developing countries like India can come together and come up with these recommendations when it comes to young people, I think it just shows that these barriers don't mean anything to us, and we don't have any nasty political agenda. We just need to speak in the same language and come together and work. So cheers guys, it was really good, it was really great to hear all of that, and yeah, we'll see you soon.
We have just a few minutes left, but so that you're not left deprived of... Was there a question?
Yeah, there's a question in the back.
All right.
I'm Teresa from Tanzania. Mine is not a question as such, it was just a comment. Yeah, we are also developing a youth strategy, because as far as the agriculture is concerned, youth are trying to run away from agricultural activities. But I just wanted to hear some experiences from others. What really are they doing as far as climate change is concerned with the youth? So I really congratulate the experience that I have heard from the group from that side. Yeah, thank you. It was not a question, it was just a remark, a comment that I'm Teresa from Tanzania, and as far as agriculture is concerned, it's one of the economic driver in my country. And we realized that youth are running away from agricultural activities. Then what we started to do is to make to develop a strategy for agriculture for the youth. Now I just wanted to hear what you have been doing from your country, and then that was an experience to me. That from here I know what we are going to do as far as youth is concerned. So I compliment what you have presented here. Thank you. You're not a question.
Thank you for the comment. All right, before we close, I'm happy to give us the icing on the cake, a bonus panelist.
Hello everyone. Sorry for joining a little late. My name is Dominique Souris, and I'm here with the Seychelles delegation, and then also the Sierra Youth Coalition. And I'm here. I just wanted to say a few words. I came a little late, and I was asking Tim if we were talking about loss and damage on this panel, and talking about how using the space, this youth space, to sort of craft almost a vision, or explore the ideas of how we can, or what ambition we want for loss and damage. This conference, COP22, is supposed to review the Warsaw Mechanism on loss and damage. But what do young people want to see? How ambitious do we want this? How much ambition do we want to push for? I think this is really great in terms of youth spaces to start having these discussions, and through Youngo and through various other side events. There's one tonight on this issue, to explore what does loss and damage ambition look like, and to have sort of discussions within this space that may not be able to be had right now in the negotiations due to various political issues. So I just wanted to bring that up and see if there's any thoughts about it, and then happy to share details on our event tonight as well. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we still have a couple minutes. You can get in a final question. Any comments? Doesn't have to be a question at this point. Comments? Reactions to the panel? All right, good. So go ahead.
Yes, before we end, I want to share the toolkit that we have online on climate change. We have it online. It's www.cia.org/youth. How do you say tiré? Dash toolkit on sits and climate change HTML. So you can get it online. If you just go on the www.cia.org and you go on resources and you go on materials, you'll get the toolkit online. So yeah, make the most of it. Thank you.
All right, any last chance for a question or comment? Going once, going twice, sold. So we will go ahead and go now into our break before the next panel will convene, which is the intergenerational dialogue. And in part of that, we will be featuring the Seychelles ambassador, thanks to Dominique, and some other excellent speakers. So grab some coffee, something to eat, maybe come back and use this time to network with any of our panelists who you have private questions for or networking. And thank you everyone for coming.
So